What is up, guys? Just Josh here. Welcome back to the most viewed series on my channel, Album Rankings. You guys have been crushing the support on these videos, and I wanted to churn some more out for you. The last one I did on Trivium got, I think, around 500 views now, so thanks a lot for that, guys. Just the support on these videos is absolutely crazy. Today, we got Killswitch Engage, and tomorrow I'm going to be uploading a Chimera album ranking. So be on the lookout for that. But anyways, Killswitch Engage, man, I've been listening to them for about a year now. They've became one of my favorite metalcore bands, just an awesome band. And I wanted to rank their albums. A quick side note before I get started with my ranking, I'm not going to be including their self-titled debut album from 2000. Because a good number of those songs were re-recorded for future albums and it's kind of obsolete now. Does have some awesome songs on it though, like Numb, Sick and Dies, Soilborn, Rusted Embrace. But I think 3 or 4 of them were re-recorded for future albums. So, like I said, it's kind of obsolete now, so I won't be including it. If I did include it, it would probably be around the middle of the ranking. But anyways, no more further gibberish. Let's get into the ranking. And at number 7, we have 2016's Incarnate, the band's 7th studio album. And yeah, I love all these albums. I think all their albums range from either good to great to amazing, but something had to be at the bottom of the list, and it's Incarnate. So I think this album is a bit front-loaded. Basically the best songs are in the front of the track list for me. Not even every song at the front of the track list is that great. So we have Alone I Stand, Hate by Design, Strengthen the Mind, and Embrace the Journey Upraised. Those are pretty much my only favorites on this album. Quiet Distress is pretty good. It Falls on Me is pretty good. But other than that, I think that this is just a boring album. It's their second album after Jesse returned to the band, and honestly I don't think it has much to offer. Still a pretty good, a pretty decent album, but it's my least favorite. And at number 6 we have As Daylight Dies from 2006, the band's 4th album. Yeah, I'm gonna lose a lot of people with this. As Daylight Dies is one of Killswitch Engage's most revered, most praised albums, and I just don't understand the hype for this album. I think this album is pretty boring. It does have some good tracks on it, like Daylight Dies, This Is Absolution, Arms of Sorrow, Unbroken, My Curse. Desperate Times is pretty good. The bonus track, This Fire Burns, is awesome. But I just think that this album is very, very overrated. I'm not too big on Howard Jones, man. I do like the Howard material, but not this album. I think this album is very overrated, pretty boring to be honest. And yeah, let me just get this out of the way. I like Jesse a lot more than Howard. Howard's got great screams, and he is definitely a better singer than Jesse Leach, for sure. But his cleans are just way too theatrical for my taste. He's got tons of vibrato. Just sounds a bit like operatic, and not really my vibe. So yeah, As Daylight Dies is my second least favorite Killswitch album. And at number 5 we have the band's 5th album, their second self-titled album from 2009. This is definitely probably the most hated. I shouldn't say hated, but this is definitely the least favored Howard album among Killswitch fans, and I think this album is very, very underrated. It's their last album with Howard. He left because of his diabetes was getting pretty bad, and he just wasn't enjoying the touring life anymore. And from the sound of these lyrics, he went through a pretty nasty breakup before this album came out. I remember hearing about an incident where he almost took his own life around the time this album came out, so it was definitely a bad time in his life, and the lyrics definitely reflect that. Lots of very, very emotional lyrics. This is definitely the least positive Killswitch album too, because if you guys listen to Killswitch, you obviously know that they have very, very uplifting lyrics, but songs like This Is Goodbye have little to be found in the uplifting department. But anyways, this is probably their most melodic album, but it's still got tons of heavy moments. But anyways, my favorite tracks on this album are Never Again, The Forgotten, Reckoning, The Return, Take Me Away, and This Is Goodbye. I like pretty much every song on this album, but those are my top favorites. So yeah, very underrated album. Comes in at number 5 for me. And at number 4, we have Killswitch Engage's 6th album from 2013, Disarm the Descent. This was a very make-or-break album. It marked the return of original singer Jesse Leach, and the band had rose to very much critical acclaim and mainstream attention with the string of Howard albums. I would say they got a little more melodic, a little more radio friendly in Howard's era, because Alive or Just Breathing was a very ballsy album. It had a lot of melody for sure, had a few singles, but definitely way heavier than any of the Howard albums in my opinion. But anyways, like I said, this was a very make or break album because I bet a lot of Killswitch fans were very adjusted to Howard and the sound of the band in his era. And yeah, I'd imagine that tons of people were skeptical about Jesse's return. Maybe even some of the new fans at that time didn't even know who Jesse Leach was. But yeah, obviously I wouldn't know because I wasn't into metal back then. But anyways, this is a very heavy album. Lots of blast beats, lots of furious riffing, lots of throat-ripping screams from Jesse. So yeah, my favorite tracks are The Hell in Me, Beyond the Flames, The New Awakening, In Due Time, Tribute to the Fallen, Turning Point, The Call, Always. Pretty much every song on this album absolutely rips. This is a very, very solid album. Very damn good album. Comes in at number 4. And at number 3, we have the band's 8th album, 2019's Atonement, their most recent album. And yeah, this one took a bit to grow on me. Not to say I didn't like it when it came out. I bought it the day it came out. I went to Target and got it the day it came out. So, not to say I didn't like it when it first came out, but definitely don't like it as much as I like it now. I kind of thought it was a bit, safe, a bit cookie cutter for Killswitch. It definitely has a lot more melodic songs like I Am Broken Too and I Can't Be the Only One. But it's got a fair amount of heavy tracks. So my favorite tracks on it are Unleashed, The Signal Fire, Us Against the World, Crownless King, Take Control, Ravenous, and the Bite the Hand That Feeds. Sorry. They also recently released Atonement 2 B-Sides for Charity, 6 songs that didn't make it to the album. And yeah, that's pretty good too. Check that out if you haven't already. They also donated all the proceeds of that because it was on their Bandcamp for a while before they put it on all other digital platforms. And they donated all the proceeds to a COVID-19 relief fund, which is a very, very awesome move from the band. So yeah, it comes in at number 3. And at number 2, we have 2004's The End of Heartache, the band's 3rd album and their first album with Howard Jones. This is definitely the band's breakthrough album. This is what catapulted them to the high ranks of metalcore, and rightfully so. It's an amazing album, lots of great tracks, and as I said earlier, I'm not too big on Howard's cleans. They are a bit too theatrical and a bit too operatic for me, a bit too dramatic for me, but it's whatever. This is top to bottom an awesome album, very solid listen, and check it out if you haven't heard it already. My favorite tracks on this album are A Bid Farewell, Take This Oath, which features Jesse Leach, When Darkness Falls, Rose of Sharon, Breathe Life, the title track, Declaration, and Hope Is. And pretty much every song on this album is awesome. So yeah, not much left to say about this album. Just Very solid listen overall. Amazing album. And at number 1, we have 2002's Alive or Just Breathing, the band's second album. And to most Killswitch fans, this should come as no surprise at all. This album is a fucking masterpiece, top to bottom. There is not a bad song on this album. Not even 1 second of this album is bad. To be honest, you know, I'm not too big on Self-Revolution and Element of One, but those are still great songs. But there's songs that I like more than those two on this album. But I would honestly consider this album maybe not a perfect record, but a near perfect record. This is the closest you can get to perfection. And I would go on record to say that this is the best metalcore album of all time. But anyways, that's enough fanboying for me. But yeah, man, this fucking album is just very raw, very unapologetic, very just brutal and heavy. Jesse's vocals on this album are absolutely throat-ripping, literally. He damaged his voice quite a bit. He blew it out left and right, playing shows. He had to learn the proper screaming technique, as a lot of metal vocalists did. This album is just very, very heavy. Anyways, my favorite tracks are Numbered Days, Fixation on the Darkness, My Last Serenade, Life to Lifeless, To the Sons of Man, Temple from Within, and Vitae Infra. Also, Rise Inside is awesome. So yeah, not a bad song on this album, like I said, but those are my top favorites. So yeah, that's my ranking, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and if you guys are Killswitch fans as well, please leave your ranking down in the comments below. I will be doing a Chimera album ranking tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out.